What is a tradition that you look forward to every year? Hi, and welcome to Beyond the Shuffle. I'm Adrian Amari, your host, guide, and yes, that person who wears festive sweaters all throughout December. And this podcast is a cozy rabbit hole where tarot leads the way into curiosity, self-reflection, and the beautiful mess of being human. So settle in, open your mind, and let's go beyond the shuffle. This week on Beyond the Shuffle, I want to talk about tradition. It is that time of year when all of the holiday traditions start coming out of the woodwork. And I think it's a really important piece of community and human society as is. Now, there are two cards in tarot that I generally associate to tradition, and those cards are the Hierophant and the Ten of Pentacles. Now, the Hierophant, one of the key words generally is tradition. It is structure, institutions, conventional wisdom. It can be organized religion. It is the societal rules that we are bound by, our belief systems that we grew up in. And with the Hierophant, to me, it feels like those traditions that were passed down generally through culture, society, and religion. Of course, our family as well, but they're rooted in those elements. The example I always think of is Christmas Eve Mass. When I was a teenager, we would do Christmas Eve with my best friend's family, and our parents would always make us go to Christmas Eve Mass. Now, neither her nor I enjoyed going, so we would hide out in the basement just hoping that the adults wouldn't realize what time it was so that we would not have to go and would just miss it. And I think that only happened once in all the years we spent together, but we just never enjoyed going. I don't know if it was because it didn't mean a whole lot to us or if it felt too structured or rigid, but we just didn't want to be there. So it wasn't a very meaningful experience. Now, on the flip side, my school would always have a holiday assembly, and they would choose one student from every country represented in the school to read a passage in their own language. And I loved that. We always had a teacher who read a passage in Welsh, and it just sounded wild. But that was a tradition that I really enjoyed. And I feel like it helped everybody share a piece of them and fostered a nice, heartwarming sense of community in that assembly hall. And then we have the Ten of Pentacles. Now, the Ten of Pentacles is longevity, stability, security. It's inheritance. It's the traditions that we pass down through our families. It's making memories with the people that we love. With the Ten of Pentacles, when I say family, I don't necessarily mean blood relatives, although it definitely can be, but I do also think it's important to incorporate chosen family into this meaning. And the Ten of Pentacles traditions are the ones that we create as family with the people that we love, that we do every year, that brings us that connection, that stability, and that joy. So, for example, one of my favorite traditions is cutting down our Christmas tree. So for the past 4 or 5 years, we've gone to the same farm. We go and find the perfect Christmas tree, chop it down, and bring it home. And of course, the room smells amazing. Even the car ride home smells amazing because it smells like fresh Christmas tree. I also love turkey on Christmas. If there's no turkey, it feels weird. And we do Christmas breakfast every single Christmas morning at my parents' house, and I love that. And if you pause for a minute to think about the traditions that you have with your family surrounding the holidays, no matter what you celebrate, I'm sure you'll find a few heartwarming moments where you're like, yeah, I love when we do that. And if you have any of those, please share because I'd love to know what they are. Let's talk about some of the good things behind tradition. They are comforting, they are grounding, they can bring stability and security into our lives because we know what to expect. There can be continuity in it, right? Where there's something to look forward to every year. And that really gets our happiness going, our excitement, our anticipation. When it's something that we enjoy, they can actually help orient our nervous system because it's that expectation, kind of the calm in the chaos, even if the tradition is chaos itself. But there's a lot of joy and sharing and fun to be had in that, right? We also get a sense of community from tradition. Sometimes it's nice to know that other people are enjoying and participating and looking forward to the same things that we are. And if you think about it, how long has tradition been part of human nature? for as long as I've been able to tell. So many of the things that we continuously partake in, like holidays, have been around for so long and have roots that are thousands of years old. And how exciting is that? Tradition is something that I think humans actually need. It gives us a sense of togetherness. And in a world where we can sometimes be more disconnected than we ever have, I think that's really important. Traditions can also be mindful and intentional. Think about decorating the Christmas tree. You're just there in the present moment making this beautiful thing. Or maybe you're baking cookies for your neighbors. It's a tradition that shows that you love and that you care. They can be playful and creative. They don't have to be strict and rigid all the time. For me, it's wearing Christmas earrings as a tradition I partake in, and these ridiculous Christmas sweaters, but it's fun and it makes me happy, so why not do it? Traditions can also help us to integrate different values. And again, a lot of these come from culture and religion, but there can be such wisdom and messages in there that we need to be reminded of year after year. And again, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. It can also be adaptable and have personal meaning to you. Think of heirlooms, for example, another great meaning for the Ten of Pentacles. But how meaningful is it to have something that you pass down through generations of your family? So, for example, I wear a ring every single day that my grandmother passed down to me, and I love it. I keep it safe. It's a part of her that's with me all the time. And I find so much comfort in that. On the other side of tradition, we do get the rigidity. We get the traditions that we just go through the motions for because they don't really mean much to us, and we kind of feel obligated to just follow the structure and follow the rules. And while I don't think it's necessarily worth saying we have to cut those all out, I do think it's important to focus our action and our energy on traditions that actually fulfill us. If it doesn't mean anything to you, why do it? And this even goes back to tarot. You'll read online, a lot of people say that you have to be gifted your first tarot deck. That's a big tarot tradition. Is it true? No. I would be in big trouble if you had to be gifted deck. Another tarot tradition is cleansing your deck. And if this does something for you, by all means, do it, go for it. But for me, no, thank you. It's a hindrance. It's a waste of my time. I don't find that it does anything because I view the cards as a tool, like a hammer. And I'm sorry, if I'm building something, I'm not going to be cleansing my hammer every time I want to put a new nail in. And that's just my view of it. But if it does something for you, if it helps you connect, if it feels intentional for you, do it. But I'm not going to sit here and tell everybody who wants to read tarot that this is a step they have to follow. Because if it doesn't mean something to you, it's probably not worth doing. If it doesn't connect you to something, it's probably not worth doing. And sometimes we do participate in traditions because our family does it, because it connects us to those people. And I think in those cases, there is meaning behind it. But if you're just going through the motions and there is absolutely zero fulfillment in this tradition, I would really consider why. Why? What value does it add to your life? We have such a limited time here that why are we filling our hours with things that don't bring value or meaning? And I think, again, a lot of the time it becomes a habit more than enjoyment. And sometimes that just means taking a step back, thinking about why you're doing it, and maybe reconnecting with the roots of that tradition to enjoy it once again. And I think there's a lot of times we get lost in the shuffle where we stop thinking about why we're doing what we're doing. And that's an element that maybe needs to get re injected every now and then so that we can really take part and be mindful in the practices that we partake in. And as you grow up, the traditions that you enjoy might shift and change. Maybe you'll add a new layer onto them, and there is nothing wrong with that. Because if we don't keep these traditions alive in some way, then they do die out. But if it means something to you, enjoy it for what it is. Continue it because it brings something into your life. The way to keep tradition alive is to continue to integrate it. And sometimes to really make that integration happen, we have to be willing to adjust and to compromise in those traditions because new people are always coming into our lives. And don't we want to share this value, this warmth, this sense of community with them? But sometimes to do that, we have to shift a little bit. So things can't always stay the same. And I don't think there's anything wrong with traditions growing and shifting and changing because they already have, and they will continue to do so. And much like languages, the ones that don't are the ones that are going to fade. Don't be afraid to make little adjustments to make these traditions easier to bring into your life. Create your own, create something new that is fun and exciting that you want to pass on, because why not? Maybe that's part of your legacy. And so much of that 10 of Pentacles is the legacy that we leave behind. So what does that mean to you? I think it's also important to differentiate tradition from ritual. And we'll talk about ritual in a later episode. But tradition is often passed down, whereas ritual is something that we create. I find that ritual is often more personal to us and to our specific journey, whereas tradition is more community-based. Both are meaningful, both are fulfilling, both I believe are necessary, but they are a little different. Another tradition that I really enjoy is Friendsgiving. My friend Melinda started it years ago, and now it's just become a yearly thing that we all look forward to. And we celebrate with the cardboard turducken, which is a very questionably shaped turkey. And while we're on the topic of tradition, we have the tarot. The tarot is a tradition that dates back to at least the 1300s, and it has evolved and changed, but it's still very much alive. And I love the tarot, as you know. So let's pull a few cards. And the deck that I'm using today is the Unveiled Tarot. You'll be able to see a photo of the cards on the podcast notes or the Facebook community, which is facebook.com/Beyond the Shuffle podcast. But we're going to pull cards for the collective with the question, how can we honor tradition while making it our own? Because I think that's how we continue these traditions on and truly enjoy them as part of our lives. So we have an intense mix. We have Judgment, the Seven of Swords, and the King of Pentacles. I love that we do have a pentacle in there, and that is the king. But Judgment is a card of evaluation. It's a card of awakening, of following what your calling is. But when it comes to traditions, it really encourages us to reflect on the ones that work for us, the ones that bring value into our lives, the ones that continue to help us and to step into the version of us that we want to be. So if you think of your ideal version of yourself, what traditions are they carrying with them? What traditions are they passing down? Those are the ones that we want to keep, and those are the ones that we want to kind of make our own. Now, with the Seven of Swords, this is often seen as a card of lies and deceit, but we're not saying, oh yes, lie to keep all your traditions alive and to make them your own. But with the Seven of Swords, it's about being resourceful and being flexible in your mind. So open to new ways of doing things, flexible in your approach to tradition, knowing that if it's not exactly this way, it's not going to be the end of the world. Sometimes these little shifts add so much more meaning, so much more heart to the traditions, that it's okay if it's not regimented. It's okay if we're flexible. It's okay if it shifts. So instead of fighting it super hard, be open to a little bit of those alterations, those compromises. And then we have our King of Pentacles. Now, the King of Pentacles is a card of stability, security, generosity. He has worked hard to get where he is. So sometimes it is important that we continue to do the work and show up to make our mark on these traditions in these spaces. It might not happen the first year or the second year or the third year, but if we show up authentically and fully, if we are present and generous and enjoying it, it's much more likely to bring people together, and that's the purpose of it. The King of Pentacles is so generous and so warm. He is loyal, but he's also practical. So it is the reminder to keep things simple and grounded. If you're trying to make your mark on something, make it something people can enjoy and participate in alongside you. It needs to be simplified a lot of the time. And we live in a world that is full of complications where people are trying to do the next big grand thing. Take it back a little bit, because that's what's going to help it perpetuate over time. So again, that was the Unveiled Tarot, which is a super cool tarot deck. What I love about it is that it has kind of a traditional look, but there's all these inserts which show a little bit of a different side to the card. So again, you can see clearer pictures on the podcast website, which is adrianamari.com/Beyond the Shuffle podcast or facebook.com/Beyond the Shuffle podcast. So again, what traditions are you looking forward to? Whether it's something for this holiday season or for later on in the year, I would love to know. One tradition that my parents and I are going back to is going out for Christmas Eve dinner. We did this for years when I was growing up with family friends and then with just my grandparents. Unfortunately, my grandparents are no longer with us. And for a few years, we stopped going, but we're back in there again. So we'll be going out for Christmas Eve dinner to a beautiful restaurant. And I'm really looking forward to it because, like I said, it's been years and I loved that tradition even as a kid. I even remember the one year we went to a hotel and there was a piano player, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever, that this guy was just sitting there playing all these Christmas carols on the piano. And that's a memory that I don't think I'll ever forget. And I remember going with my grandmother even as she was getting older and sicker, and how much she enjoyed that. And she would dress to the nines to go out for Christmas Eve dinner. So share your memories. I'd love to know them. And remember, tradition doesn't have to be rigid and stoic and stuffy. It should mean something, and it should be something that brings people together that they want to continue to pass down. Thank you for joining me this week on Beyond the Shuffle. If you haven't listened to the other episodes, make sure you go and catch up. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram for updates, and there's a new episode every week. So until next time, enjoy yourself, keep your mind open, and stay curious.